Hi there, and welcome to our channel, All Arts. In our last video, we talked about how corrupt and rigged the Grammys and other award shows can be, and the basic format for the new award show that we've created to better determine things like Best Album of the Year. As a little recap, we talked about how much controversy there was this year with the Grammy nominations, including them leaving out the Weeknd's After Hours in every single category and nominating really random and underwhelming albums for Album of the Year instead. The Grammys are made up of select industry members who know more about the industry and about music than I do, which is where they have merit. However, they can become corrupt like we've seen and blacklist certain artists or vote for artists who they have connections with and are closer with. It's fine to support these award shows, and these members definitely have valuable insights. However, there's definitely a better way to determine what the best album of the year is than just leaving it up to these few people. In the All Arts Music Awards, everyone has the chance to vote. Everyone gets a say in determining what the best album of the year should be. The voting is divided up into three different voting bodies: the general public and consumer, the critic, whose job it is to write about and review music, and the industry members, or musicians, who can comprehend the artistry behind the music better than the average person. Now, just to clarify, the winner isn't just the album that gets the most votes overall, because then the general voting body would definitely choose the outcome every time. However, instead, each body votes and totals up their top picks for Album of the Year. Then, based on a point system, the album with the highest average between the three bodies is declared the winner. So each body gets the same amount of say or the same weight and percentage of say in the final results. That way, we are determining what the best album of the year is across the board between these three voting bodies. With this method, there are no snubs and no single body of voters like industry members who can push forward their own agendas and push forward artists that they have connections with. Now, let's get into the nomination process. Specifically, let's just focus on Album of the Year. Get ready for some information. There are several steps we follow to narrow down the pool of eligible albums released in a year, starting by finding the highest rated albums of the year. We first take data from about 15 different aggregate reviewing sites, including Album of the Year, Rate My Music, and Metacritic, which are some of the most popular, where users and critics rate an album out of 10. We take the 50 highest rated albums from each aggregate site and take their user and critic score from each of these 15 websites to get an average album score across the board. Most of the time, the top 50 albums from each website will be pretty similar, but if we find an album on one list that isn't on any others, we make sure to grab their score from every other website as well. And we only qualify albums that have a minimum amount of reviews, so it's not just one person who gave an album 10 out of 10. After these top album scores are all averaged, we rank them in order from highest to lowest, and we automatically qualify the top 20 albums. The rest are not eligible for Album of the Year at this point. However, there is a second process and a second data set that's collected. Now we have the albums that have the highest scores from critics and users all around. Now we want to get data from the albums that performed the best this year. These are the albums that sold the most and were the most popular, the albums that are on the year-end list for critics, and the albums that industry members want to nominate. To do these, we pull from 4 different lists, the first being the Billboard End-of-Year Top 200, which averages an album's sales and single successes based on streaming, radio play, and so on. Then we take the Billboard's list of top 100 best-selling albums of the year, which strictly looks at album sales. Then we look at a year-end aggregate list from albumoftheyear.com, which pulls from year-end lists of over 100 journals, including the staff at Billboard, The Atlantic, Pitchfork, and so on, ranking their top albums of the year. They average how many times an album appears on a journal's list and ranks their scores. The last list we look at are the Grammy nominations. These are the albums that the industry members and members of the Recording Academy feel are the best albums of the year, supposedly. Now, we only take the top 10 albums from each list and give them each a point out of 10 based on their position on the list. So, if Hollywood's Bleeding is the top album on the Billboard Top 200, it would get 10 points, followed by My Turn by Lil Baby with 9 points, and so on. Each of the 4 lists we pull from will have their top 10 albums ranked this way and points distributed out of 10. Then the scores of all these albums are averaged, and we keep the top 10 albums with the highest scores. We of course don't include in these lists albums that have already qualified from the other list. Take these 10 albums from the list and add them to the list of 20 albums that qualified earlier from just their user and critic scores. Together, these are the 30 albums that qualify for Album of the Year. At this point, a short list is released and the 3 groups will vote on which album they want to get the nominations. And after these 3 lists of albums are averaged, we come up with our final top 10 nominees. Now, just for the purpose of this year, because it's already 2021 and we're a little bit behind, we've already narrowed down the list of our top nominations in each category by averaging together the scores for both lists that we mentioned. This will only be done for this year, only because it should have already been done by now. But normally, everyone will vote on what the final nominees will be. So, there are the 2020 All Arts nominations for Album of the Year. The same principle will be applied to other Album of the Year categories such as Pop Album, Rap Album, and Best Country Album, and so forth. We'll do the exact same process, finding the highest rated albums in those genres, and adding with them the most popular albums of those genres. Same thing for Song and Record of the Year. We'll take the aggregate list from various websites for each genre of song that was released that year, and add to those the songs that performed the best. To determine the winners, like was mentioned earlier in the video, each of the 3 groups will vote and present their rankings of the top albums of the years. Then, those albums will be scored based on their position on each list, and the scores will be averaged so that the winner will be the album that does the best in each of the 3 groups, and this will be the best album of the year. With this method, we've given everyone a chance to voice their opinion and vote on what they think is the best album of the year, or, in the future, the best movie of the year, or television show of the year. In fact, if you go to allarts.com right now, you can see the full list of nominees for this year's All Arts Music Awards, and you can register as either a general member, a critic, or industry member or musician, and you can place your vote for the winners. Please share this with anyone you know who loves and appreciates music, film, TV, or any form of art and would like to be a part of the process. Thank you for listening, and check out our channel for more videos, and keep up to date on our website for more additions to come. See you later.